Anthology on the bad, short-lived, and forgotten shows and events in TV history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Episode 556, submission number 2571. Rex is not your lawyer. Rex is Not Your Lawyer is an unaired pilot produced for NBC in 2009.
Is that sort of like Banoodles is not a bunny?
Yes.
Thank you, Scott Rogowski, for giving us one of the most lasting moments ever in the history of HQ. Mike's cat is not a bunny.
Before Lloyd Braun was the face of Whale Rock Industries, purveyor of movies, TV, and emoji keyboards, he held similar positions at Yahoo and ABC. One of those would have him run into Gail Berman, who held a similar position at Fox and Regency Television. Under her watch, we got the golden age of Fox programming in the late 90s to early 2000s, which gave us House, 24, Bernie Mac, Malcolm in the Middle, American Dad, and The Practice of Burying Compelling Sci-Fi on Fridays. To this day, she is the first and only female executive to hold the top post at both a major film studio and a major television network, and the most notable program that they would produce together would be 2007's Duel for ABC.
You know, I would say something about Mike Greenberg, but you know what? I'm a classy man, so I'm just going to say I would rather get my testicles electrocuted while watching Gene Wickline perform on SNL than have to see friggin' Mike Greenberg do anything on ESPN.
Damn, a dig at both Mike Greenberg and Shane Wickline. Holy crap.
Their next project, however, would involve a richly talented actor coming off a high-profile gig, that being David Tennant's role as the Doctor on Doctor Who, a role he departed after the two-parter The End of Time, saying, and now I'm quoting, "It was just the right time." The right time, as it happens, would come at the right time for Berman and Braun to develop a new project for NBC, sold as far back as 2007 on a first-look agreement with creators Andrew Leeds and David Lampson, though the project was stalled due to the 2008 writers' strike. The pilot was reconsidered upon the conclusion of the strike, but was rejected. After a change in showrunner in Law & Order's Barry Schindel, and a change at the head of NBC with Ben Silverman leaving the network in favor of Jeff Gaspin, the show was reconsidered and the pilot was reordered. The basic plot: Rex Alexander is a powerful litigator who suffers a series of panic attacks during big cases, prompting him to become a courtroom recluse who coaches his clients into representing themselves. His staff and partners do everything they can to help him through cases in this legal slice of life, but mostly they are now on the opposing side of his justice.
Not to be confused with Pit Justice.
Greg, I don't know if you saw this the other day on the non-sports card nonsense group.
Oh, is it the one with Gary Busey throwing the first pitch at a Tampa Bay Rays game?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It is Gary Busey signed cards for some sets. I forget what it was, but it's literally like his only signed card out there. And it isn't Leaf, Pop Century, or anything like that. It's one of the either Inkworks or Rittenhouse sets.
Oh.
Let me just see if I can pull it up real fast on the Bay. Because I want to see not just what it looks like, what show it's from, but also I want to see how much it goes for. But I see what you're talking about, the first pitch card from 2017. And I don't know if he has signed versions of that, but I know exactly what you're talking about, that first pitch set. It's from the Outer Limits. It was a set released by Rittenhouse in 2004. And just taking a look real fast, there's a buy it now for 144.36 Canadian. If you really want to go across international lines, there's a Beckett graded 9.5, $240. For some reason, I don't think this is going to be as easy as trying to purchase the Ralph Garman card I saw on eBay earlier today. Ralph Garman had a signed card in, I think it's a 2023 release of Jay and Silent Bob or something like that.
Yes, I have seen that because he's in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie.
And it was only like $20, but I even said, you know what? I'm not going to buy it. Okay, here we go. Sold listings, $95 or best offer back in March. 32. How the hell did somebody get this for $32 back in February? Dang. So apparently the market is not $200 on that card. It's like somewhere between $32 and $95. But you know those folks aren't going to budge off of that 145 Canadian or whatever it is. But enough about Gary Busey. Let's go back to Rex, who's not our lawyer.
Let's talk about Rex and the cast of characters who are surrounding Rex. As we said before, Rex is played by David Tennant, and really, he's only known for the one role, although he's done a whole lot more with his time since. We're talking about stuff in the Star Wars universe. We talked about him in Grace Point. That was a previous entry. Good Omens, which we're still waiting for the final episode on that now.
Yes. Jessica Jones.
And he's currently hosting the UK version of the Genius Game, which is a Korean game show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just started literally, I think, a day or 2 or 3 days ago, sometime this week as we record. And supposedly, it's like a really good show.
Are we talking about the original Korean version or the UK version?
Both. I'm talking about the UK version, but the Korean version is like really, really, really good.
If I'm not mistaken, they're planning a US version of it, but they have no idea who's going to host it or who's going to produce it. Dr. Barry Feynman, Rex's psychiatrist, who is also suffering from panic attacks, is played by Jeffrey Tambor, best known for his roles in The Larry Sanders Show, Arrested Development, and Transparent. We talked about him before in previous entry, The Ropers.
And you don't remember? Max Headroom. He was the producer of that Max Headroom, not show, but the newscast propaganda, whatever you want to call it.
Lizzie Steers, Rex's now ex-fiancée, and a ruthless attorney in her own right, is played by Abigail Spencer, who's been in Timeless, Mad Men, True Detective, and Grey's Anatomy. But mostly, she is that woman from that movie. Rex's mother, Ellen, a law professor, is played by Jane Curtin, one of the famous not ready for prime time players.
And she was in Kate and Alley, which means she co-starred with Susan St. James. All right, Susan, just get it out of your system, okay? Do you want to say it?
I thought she was going to say George for a moment there.
You never know what she's going to say because remember who edits this. Also, I think we'd be remiss if we did not mention that Jane Curtin played Dr. Mary Albright on Third Rock from the Sun.
Of course.
And I don't want to do like an Amazing Discovery this early, but I'm going to play the Amazing Discovery card because I do have a somewhat Amazing Discovery about Jane Curtin.
Now here's the host of Amazing Discoveries, Mike
Klaus.
Guys, would you believe about a year before she made it big as a not ready for primetime player, Jane Curtin was a contestant on the original Jackpot. She won like $5,000 on Jackpot.
Where'd you find this information, Mike?
Might have been on her IMDb, to be honest. The AV Club did an interview with Jane Curtin back in 2020. That's where that information came from.
Bruce Sweet, a partner of Rex's who has his eyes on Lindsay, is played by Jerry O'Connell of Sliders, Pictionary, and Star Trek Lower Decks. Talked about him on a previous entry, Camp Wilder, and the role was originally set to go to Sendil Ramamurti from Heroes.
But let's be honest, Chico. You best know him from My Secret Identity. Doesn't matter if he's married to Rebecca Romaine. No, that's all you're going to remember Jerry O'Connell for. My Secret Identity.
That's what I was waiting for. I'm shaking my head here. No, don't mention My Secret Identity. It's all about Rebecca Romaine Stamos. No, can't say Stamos. No, it's all about Rebecca Romaine.
Who is also in the Star Trek Extended Universe, I should say.
And she's going to be in Avengers Doomsday.
Hopefully she has more than 3 speaking lines. Lord knows she's earned it.
Well, that cast is going to be so big. I don't know how they're going to fit them all in this damn movie.
And Sophia Kraft, Rex's assistant and one-time client, is played by Lindsay Kraft, who's best known for her roles in Why Women Kill and Grace and Frankie. And in special guest roles, the would-be subject of the day, Mabel Howard, is played by Cleo King, who is in Boston Public, Mike and Molly, and a series of unfortunate events. Also appearing are Jessica Tuck of True Blood and Judging Amy as Senator Elizabeth Craig, Julia Nixon, Mrs. David Soul as Judge Lauren Arvell, and in an uncredited cameo, Melody Thomas Scott as Mrs. Lake, who's being tried when Rex absolutely loses his... Yeah.
Not to spoil anything, but Melody Thomas Scott was on Hotel. So that's something we're going to look forward to in a few weeks.
While doing research for this episode, I noticed that there were 2 cuts of the pilot. A producer's cut and a director's cut. They both have different styles of narrative and different edits in different places. This deep dive is going to encompass key points from both, merging them into a single narrative to see where exactly this pilot went off the rails. We start with Rex getting ready for a typical day at work. June 30th, 2009 to be exact. Lake Industrials versus Avalon Insurance. The charge, insurance fraud. The claim, in the millions. Rex Alexander and his partners Bruce Sweet and Lindsay Steers are for the defense. Rex is absolutely killing it in the cross-examination until he notices that his throat is closing, his hand is numb, and his vision is starting to get blurry. Enter a full-blown, throat-closing, hand-numbing, sweating profusely panic attack, which is all being relayed to his therapist, Dr. Barry Feynman. Dr. Feynman suggests that Rex practice law in more of an advisory capacity, and also that he seeks services elsewhere because he can no longer be his therapist if he's going to tell the same story 100 times. We fast forward to Rex as now an advisory counsel. A former client of his, Sophia, is now his assistant, and she breaks the news that Lindsay is moving on while Rex is breaking into her computer. And she also presents the following case. Mabel Howard is suing a private school for wrongful termination. She's never had an accident or a ticket, and she alleges that she was fired for retaliation about blowing a whistle on a student named Jared who is willfully damaging her bus.
Her bus, not her bust.
Because apparently in Los Angeles you can be bussed into a private school. Bruce believes somewhat naively that Rex will get back on top and that Lindsay, who works for Gladwell Corporation, Mabel Howard's lawsuit target, will come back to him. But Bruce is hiding a secret. We will get back to that. Since Lindsay is on the case, Rex is going to take up Mabel Howard's case on the stipulation that Mabel understands that Rex is neither her lawyer, her mother, or her summer intern. We go into the courtroom. Rex brings up her family, who may or may not be just a random melange of African Americans that he found. And her opening statement doesn't go as planned. She drops a bunch of index cards on the floor and reads them in the wrong order. Bottom line is, she's taking Gladwell for $1.5 million, and Rex is asking for help from his mother, who says he should just have fun with it.
Okay.
Important thing you have to understand about his mother, Ellen, she is dating Dr. Feynman.
What?
So Rex goes back to coaching with Mabel, who questions Headmaster Rice the next day on why she was fired. He said, because of her temper. Rather than asking about the knife that the student had, she says she doesn't believe him. She's right to be skeptical, as the person asking for Mabel's head turned out to be a senator, Elizabeth Craig, Jared's mother. Rex thinks this changes everything because juries love to see politicians squirm, but it has to be handled delicately. It is not handled delicately. In fact, it's handled so non-delicately that Rex has to intervene and he has another panic attack.
Oh no, that's bad.
Awoken by Dr. Feynman and Ellen, Dr. Feynman agrees to take him back as a patient. So we go back to Bruce and Rex playing golf, and Bruce wants to date Lindsay. Rex correctly surmises that he is already dating Lindsay, but is asking for permission. Lindsay's already cool with it because Bruce is more open with his emotions and his emotional intelligence, as it were. Rex is basically doing his 10th Doctor shtick, just trying to wow everybody with his intelligence and his abilities. As Mabel is being coached for more depositions, which Rex ingratiates himself into, Rex discovers something key to arguing her case. And to that end, Mabel is going to cry, which Rex just demonstrates with a bunch of flourish and panache. Mabel is thinking, this man is crazy. I've lost my job. I'm about to turn 50. And then that opens up a key argument. Payments to other employees similarly about to turn 50. So we go to the closing arguments. Mabel breaks character because up until now, she's just been playing the injury role with a stick. She finally has the confidence to say what she's always wanted to say. This man, Rex Alexander, is an idiot.
Yeah, of course.
He's got this group of black people that I have never seen in my entire life trying to press the jury into thinking they're my family. He's got me walking around with this stick that I don't need, and he tried to get me to cry.
Okay, so I guess you could say she's going to business for herself.
The bottom line of it, Mabel doesn't want any money. She just wants her job and her dignity back. The jury comes in with a verdict. They find for Mabel Howard in the sum of $500,000. But, plot twist, that whole thing that Mabel was doing for her closing argument, it was staged.
What?
Rex wrote the whole thing.
Now I don't know what to believe. We got worked.
Bruce, who is working with the private school and its associated corporation, swears that he'll appeal. Rex has an ace up his sleeve for that can of worms. Mabel was fired 6 months before her 50th birthday, 6 months before her pension and benefits vested, something almost half of Gladwell's maintenance staff were similarly fired, and 7 of them want Rex as their not lawyer. This plans to turn Rex and Bruce into rivals for both business and Lindsay's heart. To which Lindsay only asks Rex to go back to therapy. So that's the pilot. It was shot over a couple of months in Los Angeles from late November 2009 to Christmas of that same year. Rumors indicated that the show could begin filming in a matter of weeks pending network approval. Enter the 2010 Winter TCA tour, where the show was being bandied about as the next great legal dramedy. Jeff Gaspin, along with Angela Bromstad of NBC, said that the pilot would be reviewed by executives for either a fast track in the spring to cover the Tonight Show debacle, or it could find a spot on the fall schedule. After that, the pilot was test screened twice, once at Universal Orlando and once in Las Vegas. But it was all to no avail. The network ordered the sets struck in January of 2010. The show did not find a place on either the spring or the fall schedules, and that summer at the Emmys, David Tennant himself said of the show that it was truly and sincerely dead, after the test screenings reportedly fared miserably. I've watched both the producer and the director's cut, and it seems to me that we had a case of a brilliant show with incredible talent, but unfortunately it just didn't know what it wanted to be. David Tennant was still very much in Doctor Who mode. I mean, he was running around, fiddling with random objects, flaunting his brilliance, stealing the scene, whatever scene he's going to be in, whether it's positing a brilliant idea for the defense or just saying, I'm going to fate now. Imagine David Tennant as Doctor Who speaking with an American accent. That's basically all this show is.
Can I just say that David Tennant's American accent on this is not that good?
It's somewhere between just enough education to perform and God bless him, he's trying.
I don't know what's worse, that or Andrew Garfield's American accent on that one episode of Doctor Who. Do you remember that?
Having seen the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Andrew Garfield's American accent has gotten better.
Oh, it definitely has.
I don't know what the BBC was doing, but obviously Marvel and Sony came together to,
Fix it.
Both of the pilots were never made public after they were shelved, but in the past year, both the producer and the director's cut were leaked and have since been made available on YouTube. So there you have it. Rex was not your lawyer, and he was not, in 2010, a thing on TV. Although, if I could just say so, probably for the best that this was not a thing on TV, because if it did, can you imagine everybody lining up to defend themselves in court?
Oh, given how bad things are legally in 2025, it would be much worse now if this show got picked up.
Perhaps it's for the best that Rex stayed not being your lawyer.
You can find us at our website, itwasathingontv.com, on Facebook at It Was a Thing on TV Podcast, and elsewhere at It Was a Thing on TV. You can find us on any podcast player, and we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our releases, including what's coming up next time. Pilot Month continues next time, and we're going to actually look at a pilot, which is a revival of a popular series from back in the 60s. One with Roger Moore. No, we're not going to be doing some sort of revival of James Bond, but we're going to talk about this revival. Oh, and maybe this sort of determined its fate. It aired during the CBS Summer Playhouse. Because as we mentioned previously, that's where dead pilots go to be shown and not be hidden forever. We will talk about that pilot next time right here at It Was a Thing on TV. Thank you as always for listening.